Hey everyone, good afternoon or early afternoon. Let me know if you're able to hear and everything sounds okay and clear. Good to see you. Queen Bella, thank you so much for being here. Sunset Rising, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Hey B, how are you? Gonna listen while packing. Okay. Packing, I hope you're going. Maybe you'll visit Nicole? Maybe? Possibly? Or are you going somewhere else? Hey, Nicole. Hey, hey, hey. Good to see you. It's been so short of a time since I last heard from you, Nicole. Kidding, kidding, kidding. Hey, pretty eye. Good to see you. Good afternoon. Hope you all are doing good. I'm gonna give you guys an update. So, with Anna's case, what was it, 2 days ago, I believe, that it was found out and reported that Anna's father, Christopher, they attempted to give a subpoena to him. And this guy decided he was going to, like, avoid it and not be served, which is so weird because I mean, it's really weird because he was clearly there. He was clearly home. I mean, it's one thing to pretend you're not home, try to stay quiet, someone's knocking at your door. Well, it's a whole nother thing when your vehicle is out in the driveway running. Like, that's I mean, come on now. You gotta think that through. So, he must have seen them coming and then took off, run into the home, or maybe he was already in the house and forgot something, and then someone knocked at the door. Regardless, not a good look. And he did still show up this morning. They ended up having the hearing, and the hearing in regards to family court and for the stepmother and her ex-husband, and him, the ex-husband there, wanting the youngest child of theirs to live with him. And so that did still take place, and Christopher did attend. He wasn't questioned. He didn't end up taking the stand, but he did end up showing up. I know I saved that one. Who knows where I saved it, but I did in fact save it. So I'm gonna try to find that one right quick because I feel why am I doing that? Unprepared. But it's still considered like a emergency motion that happened. So I'm going to show you the hearing, and I just want to show you right quick first the one from them attempting to serve him. Very strange. I believe right here. So, all right, let me bring you guys over to this one. Hey, Fark, you. Good to see ya. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Hey, Spitfire. How are you? Also, I have a new monitor coming tomorrow, so hopefully I'm able to see chat at the same time as all of the stuff that I'm doing on StreamYard to be able to display. So hopefully that'll help a little bit as well. Hey, Okie, how are you? Good to see you. Good afternoon, everybody. All right, let me drop this down because we already know if I don't drop this, I will keep it covered. I will keep it right over the top and act like pretend I'm showing you guys the video. And you guys will be like, "Hey, we can't see." I already know me too well. All right. So this is the father of the teen who died, Anna, evades subpoena in the related custody case. And I believe this video should tell you about it, but let's take a quick look.
Here's why you should switch.
Here's why you should not have advertising on your videos. All right, so we'll just wait this in the 22 seconds. But in the meantime, I'm going to read your comment eventually. Got to clear some stuff out. Oh, you're going to sell your place. Oh, I love that. Are you moving back closer to home? Don't say exactly where. We know how people are weirdos online and, All right. Here we go.
Autopsy reportedly revealing the 18-year-old girl found dead on a cruise ship died from asphyxiation from an arm across her neck. It comes as
Hold on, really quick. I gotta keep it clear on this. They continue to report that she died by an arm bar or by or an arm choke, right, or an arm across the neck. That wasn't ever factually stated in the death certificate or by any FBI or any law enforcement. We watched the last stream. Specifically, the grandparents said, yes, it was by asphyxiation, but the grandparents said, we are thinking that perhaps it was like from an armbar of the arm going directly across the neck. The grandparents have said that. So I just want to make sure that we keep that clear, that that isn't a fact that it was from an armbar. But asphyxiation, yes, that as far as we know, so far with the death certificate is true. And let me know for when she's off. Hurry up, you're missed. Aw. You are going back. I love that. You're going back home. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm so happy. I know Nicole is super happy too. All right.
the Daily Mail obtained court records with her stepbrother's initials, TH, saying he is, quote, currently the subject of an active FBI criminal investigation. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. Great to see you this morning, Greg. Thanks for joining us. So obviously there are a lot of complications here, and we've got a couple of things going on here with both the criminal investigation, and then you have this other case involving a divorce that looks like the FBI may be looking at the step brother.
All right. This sounds so old. I need them to just talk about the one part. It doesn't look like they're going to right off the jump here. Let me see.
Yeah, I think that's true. It really is strange and tragic at the same time. Asphyxiation.
Mother talking about the cause of death on ABC World News tonight.
The FBI contacted my son and family and told us her cause of death. Her cause of death was asphyxiation. She, what do they call it, a bar hold?
Yes.
Where you take the elbow like this. They said when they took her body to the medical examiner's office, it was in perfect condition.
So they cut out that part right there where she in fact said, we're thinking that it came from an arm holder, arm bar holder, what have you. So they did cut that part out. However, this part, it doesn't seem like they're actually playing the part I'm trying to get to, but I do have the subpoena right here. So the process server, I'll just read it to you. A process server named Leslie wrote that Kepner, meaning Christopher's, SUV sat running in the driveway. The lights inside of the home were on, but no one responded to repeated knocks or the doorbell. And then the process server said a, quote, no trespassing sign was posted on the property, and a Ring doorbell camera was visible near the entrance. She announced several times that she was there to serve a subpoena and left the paperwork on the SUV's windshield at 10:29 a.m. When she returned, the SUV had left and the subpoena that he had placed on its windshield was gone. So it was received, just not when they were there. Very, very strange. Let me see if I can do... Hoping that's a little bit bigger for y'all. If not, I'm going to read it anyway. So it just said received court service on the 25th of November at 8:31 to be served on Christopher Leslie. On the 28th of November at 10:29 a.m. Service method other delivered the subpoena for hearing for Christopher Kepner at the address of in the comments below for further details. So it said additional information pertaining to the service. On November 28th, 2025, the process server arrived at the designated location at 10:09 a.m. An SUV vehicle was present in the driveway, which was observed to be running upon approach. The windows of the vehicle were heavily tinted, making it difficult to determine if there were any occupants inside. A, quote, posted no trespassing sign was posted in the front of the residence, one pickup truck on side of driveway. Proceeding to the front entrance, this process server noted the presence of a Ring doorbell camera. An initial knock of the door yielded no response, followed by activation of the Ring device, again with no answer. After waiting several minutes, this server returned to her vehicle, which they said he and the other. I questioned if it was a he or, but yeah, they meant her. While passing the running vehicle in the driveway, she inspected both the front and driver's side, windows, and knocked to ascertain occupancy. The vehicle did not appear to be occupied. This process server contacted her supervisor and provided the license plate information from the vehicle present, Florida tag, and then they redacted that. Records indicate the vehicle is registered to the witness, Christopher, at the given address. While stationed at the street, this process server observed the SUV's lights and horn activate as though it was being remotely locked. How awkward. That's so weird. So strange. Oh, man. My water's breaking loose. Wait, what? Like frozen pipe? Oh, man. Don't even. Oh, I could have a whole talk with you about pipes. Oh, boy. I got my own situation happening, too. I hope not. That is awful. I hope that your pipes didn't freeze. So then it goes on to say, this process server then returned to the front door. Once more, the SUV was checked for occupants, but none were observed. Additional knocks and use of the doorbell also received no answer. The process server identified herself audibly as the process server, clarifying that she was neither press nor law enforcement, and displayed her identification badge for the camera while stepping back to ensure visibility from within the home. No response was forthcoming. She knocked and rang the doorbell once more, announcing she had a subpoena for Christopher, specifically an appearance date of December 5th. At 10:29 a.m., this process server left the subpoena under the windshield wiper of the named witness SUV, which remained running in the driveway. This process server subsequently departed the premise. Upon returning at 11:07 a.m., she noted that the SUV was no longer present. A search of the yard and street revealed that the subpoena was not found. How awkward. Hey, Grandma Sherry. Good to see you, ma'am. Thanks for being here. They froze last night? Oh, no. Oh, no. All that talk. Yeah, I woke up this morning and it was -3. And the wind chill felt like -15. Don't do it. Not for the winter, anyway. Ugh, winters are horrific. So it just said verified return of non-service. I hereby certify that I am over 18 years old, not interested in the same, but it's, you know. So then they added a photo of, oh, that's interesting. I didn't see this earlier. But so they show the home, SUV, so she had proof of that as well. And subpoena for hearing was for Christopher. You're hereby commanded to appear before the judge December 5th at 9 a.m. to testify, which, again, they didn't end up asking him to testify at all, but he did show up. If you fail to appear, you may be held in contempt of court. And then it's just the signing of the judge. And that's that for that. So I thought that was a bit awkward. While the Bureau hasn't publicly identified anyone as a suspect, no criminal charges have been filed. The feud in family court between Christopher's wife, Chantal, and her ex-husband, Thomas, has revealed that their 16-year-old son is being investigated by the FBI in connection with Anna's death. And then it just goes into more information that we already know. Also, I want to show you something I found that I hadn't heard of yet. And it gets discussed, I guess, today. One of the witnesses, oh, why did I do that? I could just bring you right over. Look at this. One of the witnesses that was called today was the stepmother, Chantal, her oldest son. So not the one that the alleged possible suspect, the older son, which is 18. So it says they also have an 18-year-old son who lives with Hudson. That would be the ex-husband. He went to live with his dad after an alleged, quote, violent altercation between himself, Chantal, and Christopher, according to court filings. Interesting. So then, if this would load, here, bring you to the next one. Chantal's older son, 18-year-old, I don't know if Andrew, but let's not go look into him, lives with his father. He followed his mother on the witness stand. So today, after Chantal gave her testimony, which I'm going to play for you from the court, the next one up was the 18-year-old son. He told the court that he's had scant interactions with his siblings due to the bitter split between his parents. He also revealed a violent incident involving himself, Chantal, and Chris that took place before he began living with his dad full time. Quote, they came and took me from school and took me to the home where they're at now. And then his mom asked for his phone and he said, took it and then shut it off. An argument broke out. He didn't want to go with them to the home and preferred to stay with his father in Hernando County. So we tried to get out of the car, he said, but was restrained by both his mother and stepfather. Quote, I was put in a chokehold and held it against the seat, he testified. That is strange. Very strange coincidence that he's saying he was put in, like, is that a thing? That's the thing? If, in fact, that is what happened to Anna. Very strange. I mean, almost like where did the, if in fact this is what happened, the 16-year-old did do this, well, now it's like, where did he learn that from? Well, that's interesting that there's others in the family that have used similar restraints. But, so it goes on to say, under cross-examination, he denied assertions from Chantal's lawyer that he tried to jump out of the vehicle when it was moving. Quote, the vehicle was not moving, he said. He also denied that the reason he wanted to stay in Hernando County was because of his girlfriend. Next on the stand was Thomas. Chantal's ex-husband, who called for the emergency hearing, arguing that his 9-year-old daughter may be at risk under his ex-wife's supervision following Anna's death on the cruise. The soft-spoken man, wearing a black golf shirt, said that Chris had interfered with child custody exchanges, physically blocking him from not pissing, no, cross that out. We need to have bloopers of the stupid stuff that comes out of my mouth. I don't know, my bad. Oh, golly. Oh, hey, Ava, good to see you. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Hey, Andy, how are you? Thanks for being here. All right, so let's correct my mouth and not say pissing again. That would be great. So he physically blocked him from picking up his youngest daughter before Thanksgiving when she refused to get out of the car. Again, with the physical stuff, like, what are we doing? Why is everyone getting physical with the children? That's just not good. Quote, based on that evidence, and so you're going to hear the outcome of the hearing that took place this morning. The judge ruled, based on that evidence that's been presented today, I don't find that there is an emergency and that the younger daughter is in any imminent risk of harm. The judge ruled at the end of the hearing, quote, I understand that there may be some issues with regard to contempt. Okay. Contempt. I'm a bit curious on who, if any of you know the answer already, and you could tell me, that'd be great. But I hadn't previously heard of contempt outside of the subpoena for Christopher, and that if he didn't show up, he may be in contempt. He did show up, and he wasn't put on the stand. So who are, I'm not sure, but there is a hearing on the contempt matter that's scheduled for December 17th. So that will be the next hearing in regards to the family court what all is going on the side of this family with the stepmom, ex-husband, and the children. So I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, hey, I'm not a judge, and I wasn't there, so I don't have all of it. We are going to listen to what Chantal had to say on the stand. But, ugh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, again, it wasn't my rule to make, so, but personally, I feel a little bit concerned about the youngest child being under their roof, but again, I don't know the full story. Who knows what the history of the well, not the ex-husband of the stepmom could be. So there's a lot not known. So I'm a bit reserved on having a full opinion on that. But all right, so let me bring you over to the actual hearing from today. So we do have one from Fox Orlando. I personally, right now, am going to bring us over to Law and Crime Trials. So they may do like a copyright claim or something. It's okay. I'm not monetized, so it's quite all right if they want to take whatever. But I don't think they'll shut the live down. They don't normally do that, but if they do, that would be why. And I'll be right back if that happens. But all right, so here will be Chantal when she gets up on the stand in regards to the family court hearing here.
No, I have not. If I could get you to raise your right hand for me, please, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may inquire whenever you're ready, Mr. Smith.
Please state your name, ma'am.
Chantal Kepner.
And do you know Thomas Hudson?
Yes.
And how do you know Mr. Hudson?
We were formerly married.
How long were you married?
About 12 years.
And do you have any children between the two of you?
We have 3 children.
What are their names and ages? And there recently was did you recently go on a cruise?
Yes.
And did any of the children go with you on the cruise? Did you reach out to Mr. Hudson to request that he agree to passports for the children?
I reached out to him to inform him of my itinerary to take the children on a cruise and did ask for the passports, but they weren't needed in this cruise.
And Mr. Hudson actually refused to cooperate with obtaining passports, correct?
To sign for the passports, yes.
Okay, so that's just making it known that the father of the, we'll say, step siblings of Anna, the father did not want them to go, but it didn't get prevented because they didn't need the passports anyway. Also, I appreciate that they were able to censor out the names of the minors. I really appreciate that. We'll be able to fill in the spaces as they go along, right? Whether they're referring to the possible suspect, the 16-year-old, or not. So
You said passports weren't necessary, so they weren't obtained.
Correct.
As far as the minor children, what were the sleeping arrangements on this cruise?
Was in my room with my husband and his 9-year-old daughter, and then shared a room with his stepsister and stepbrother.
okay, hang on, I gotta make sure I unmuted myself right quick. Yep. So that was, the way I hear it. Again, names are redacted. The youngest of her children with the ex-husband sounds as though she is the 9-year-old, her 9-year-old. She stayed in the room with her and Christopher. And then it was the names I believe that were mentioned were the 16-year-old that's being looked into right now, as well as the 14-year-old, which is a half sibling of Anna. Hey, Tony, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Well, the room was directly across from ours.
What was the stepsister's name?
Anna Kepner.
And what was
Also, that way we keep it clear too. So when we were trying to figure out previously what the room setup was, she just said for a fact that the three of them were in the same room. The half brother that's 14, stepbrother that's 16, and Anna. And that it wasn't in a joined room, a connecting room, as was possibly said, that it needs to be an adult in each room. And the only maybe change up on that would be if an adult was in a room that's connecting. So if it's got a door and it just boop, opens right up into the next room, that's not this case. So they were across the hall from one another. So that answer has been question has been answered now too.
The stepbrother's name. And how old is
14,
and how old was Anna?
18.
Now, who made the decision to have these three teenagers in one room in the cruise?
We had talked it over with our travel agent, and that was what was suggested.
Did you have to sign any special permission for
No,
the children to reside together? So was it a mutual decision between yourself and your husband?
correct.
And at some point, did you discover that one of the children had passed away?
Yes,
And when was that you discovered that?
Friday morning.
When was the last time that you'd seen the child before that Friday morning?
Thursday night,
You know, approximately what time?
right around 6:30.
And your child, did you see him that Thursday night as well?
Yes,
What time did you see him at?
closer to 7, just a little bit before 7.
Okay, so for the timeline, Anna was last seen, according to her testimony, 6:30. The last night that she was seen, so Thursday night, that it was 6:30 for her, and then just before 7 o'clock for the stepbrother was the last time. So I'm uncertain if that's going to be the same time frame that the grandparents would give when they said that she had initially left and gone to her room when they were eating dinner, and then ended up feeling a little better and came back out for a little bit and joined them and then went back to her room. I'm curious if she is accounting for the last time any of them saw her, or is that the last time she herself saw her? Because that wasn't. I'll go back real quick and just make sure to see if they specify when's the last time you saw, or just in general.
Time that you'd seen the child before that Friday morning?
Yes,
And when was that you discovered that?
Friday morning.
When was the last time that you'd seen the child before that Friday morning?
Thursday night,
You know, approximately what time?
right around 6:30.
So yeah, his question was specifically when's the last time you saw. So unsure if the grandparents would have a different time. Seems as though they were the last one of the family that had seen her. So might have been a little bit later when it comes to the grandparents, but his question was specifically last time she saw Anna.
And your child, did you see him that Thursday night as well?
Yes,
What time did you see him at?
closer to 7, just a little bit before 7.
And what was he doing at that time?
He was headed back to his room.
Do you know whether or not he was present in the room as well?
They all were headed back to their room, as far as I know.
So where was their room in relation to your room?
Right across the hall. You walked out my door, their door was right in front of it.
Did you return to your room that evening?
Yes,
What time did you return to your room?
7 o'clock.
7 p.m.?
No, yeah, right. It was actually closer to 7:30.
That's interesting as well. If the last time that they're claiming that they had seen the stepbrother was just before 7, and then she's like, well, we returned back around 7, maybe closer to 7:30. That means that they were across the hall. That's a bit concerning, considering the half brother ended up going to the room and then leaving to go take some pictures. And when he came back, like, he was denied access. He wasn't allowed to go into the room. He said he wasn't let in, that the stepbrother wouldn't let him, and that he heard commotion. So, like, did he go across the hall and knock and tell the parents, like, he won't let me in? He's preventing me from going into my room, and I hear Anna yelling? You know? That's weird. Could they have intervened? What were they doing that they didn't go next door? Right, exactly. See, that's yeah, Sunset Rising. She didn't check on the 3 children across the hall before going to bed. Right? You don't check on them, but then again, what about the half sibling that was concerned and was being prevented from getting into his room? You're telling me a 14-year-old wouldn't have gone right across to the parents and at least been upset that he was being prevented from getting in, whether it be like, I think something's wrong and something's happening to Anna. Let's just go, like, from a teenage standpoint, that your sibling's being a jerk and not letting you into your own room. Wouldn't you, like, go to your parents and complain about it? So, like, where were they then? Or why didn't they come out to the hall? And I didn't realize that they were across the hall in their room around this time frame. Like, it's very close in time. That's weird. Weird.
Did you stay in the room for the rest of the night?
Yes.
That's
With
weird.
the teenagers across the hall, did you ever go in and check on them?
No, I had went to sleep.
You went to sleep at 7:30? Yeah, maybe you drank a lot. Maybe drinking. I get it. And it's a cruise. Like, you're on vacation. You could sleep whenever you want. Who cares? Whatever. But it was your last night. You would have gone to bed at 7:30 on your last night on a cruise? I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there. Just some things that I'm wondering, like, why that time frame is super close.
Do you know if Christopher went across the hall to check on them?
Not that I know of.
Do you know if he left the room that night on that Thursday night?
I never seen him leave the room.
As far as goes, have you made arrangements to reside with a relative?
Correct.
And why did you do that?
It was something that his father and I mutually decided.
Did you suggest it to him or did he suggest it to you? Who brought it up first?
It was something that we had talked about because neither one of us could bring it back to our home.
So neither one of us could bring him back to our home. And you're going to hear as she continues that it does sound as though Chris and her do not want that stepbrother to be in their home as a protection, I suppose, for the other children, which it's just kind of upsetting that you guys didn't do this sooner, before anything happened to Anna or had gone this far. But interesting too that the biological father also isn't wanting him, apparently, to be in his home either, according to her testimony.
Why couldn't you bring back to your home?
Looking out for the safety of the other children in the home.
Now, when you talk about the home, you have a home with Christopher, your husband?
Yes.
And does Christopher have other children that come to that home?
He has 2 other kids.
And one of them being,
Correct.
and the younger child that slept in the room with you as well?
Yes.
Still allowed to come to the home?
Yes.
How many bedrooms is the home that you're in?
We have a 3-bedroom house with an addition room downstairs.
So what are the sleeping arrangements when all the kids were there prior to this cruise?
The 2 youngest girls shared a room, the 2 boys shared a room, and Anna had her own room.
Okay, so we'll go back and just re-listen to that really quick on that. I don't know why the audio sound different in my ear. I'm not sure how it sounds to y'all, but that sounded weird. Sorry.
Younger child that slept in the room with you as well?
Yes.
Still allowed to come to the home?
Yes.
How many bedrooms is the home that you're in?
We have a 3-bedroom house with an addition room downstairs.
So what are the sleeping arrangements when all the kids were there prior to this cruise?
The 2 youngest girls shared a room, the 2 boys shared a room, and Anna had her own room.
I just muted myself. All right, 4 bedrooms total. The 2 youngest shared a room. The 2 youngest girls, they said. Then the 2 boys. Then Anna. So that's interesting. And then obviously the 4th room would be her and her husband. That's damning for her. Suspect's done. Both parents don't want him in the house, right? Yeah. Yeah. Which I'm glad that they're taking steps to protect, but also, I mean, hoo-wee. I'm also curious to see if it's something kind of similar to like the Crumbly case. If you recall when that happened, the mass shooting there at the school, his parents turned on him real quick, real quick. They went and drained his bank account when they were fleeing. No one's going to say they weren't fleeing. They were definitely fleeing. So I don't know if it's something like that, kind of like to protect themselves, like everyone, you kind of fend for yourself type thing right now. Again, it just really is upsetting that they didn't do this sooner to protect Anna. Yeah, Nicole, they literally ran. Like they were trying to get to Canada. They were on the run. And then even with the attorney, they paid for attorneys for themselves and left the son to just have a public defender. Yeah, they completely hung him out big time.
As far as the evening, that Thursday evening on the cruise, had you been drinking at all?
No.
Had you drank at all during the cruise?
I had 2 pina coladas and a blue Hawaiian earlier in the week, but it wasn't on the same day. It was like 1 a day.
Do you know if the children, based on being in international waters, could I drink alcohol?
No.
You don't know?
No, they didn't. They're not old enough.
What about Anna?
I don't know.
I don't know about all that. I don't know. Well, I don't know because you're not being honest, or I don't know because you guys weren't paying attention to anything that was happening with your children. Also, another witness ends up talking here. After her, there's another witness that claims that they had seen her, Chantal, serving her children, minors, alcohol at a previous time. So not specifically on the cruise, but just kind of laying record that there was in fact a history of her giving the minor children alcohol on other occasions. So yeah. And I'll play that for you after this part of the hearing. I'll play for you one of the journalists that was in the courtroom. And so she heard everybody's testimony and she gives a rundown on some of this other info, like the fact that the children, I think that part's coming up too, where she speaks on it a bit. Their children that are still in the home that were also attending the Christian school are no longer able to attend the school. The school has actually said there's too much media attention with this, and so they've got to be unenrolled. We can't have it. So they're having to find another school for the remaining children that are minors. So again, a lot of people trying to distance themselves from it at this point, which I don't blame, for example, the school, but it's too bad. The self-preservation after the fact, it just a little bit of insult to injury for me that they didn't step up and protect when they had the opportunities to prior. Does that look sus? Like they knew that their kid was a problem child? Right, Grandma Sherry. Right. Did they? Oh, I don't know. Oh, wow, that sucks for those kids. Right. Right. So now they're having to, when they do get to a new school, meet all new people, and how far does it follow them? This case, their name. I don't know how that's going to go with them, with school and making new friends and the questions that they may be asked. I don't know.
Weren't you aware that the children were gambling at some point?
Well, Anna's 18, so I know she was in there at one point in time, but the other kids were not.
You're sure that the other kids were not gambling?
I'm sure the other kids were not gambling.
As far as, does he have any diagnoses?
He has ADHD.
And how long has he been diagnosed with ADHD?
About 3 or 4 years.
Those after your separation from Mr. Hudson, correct?
About that timeline, yes.
And does he receive medication for his ADHD?
He does.
And
So at this point, they're just asking if he has anything. That being said, I hope they don't at any point ever try to imply that the ADHD could have in any way been the cause of, if in fact he ends up getting charged, anything like that. Because I'll tell you what, I have really bad ADHD. It's very apparent with my streams and whatnot. And it certainly doesn't have me taking the life of another in any way, shape, or form. So, hey, Logical, good to see you. Hey there, what's up? The temperature's not up, I can tell you that. It's pretty down. So again, he has diagnosis of ADHD, but at this point, I mean, that's all so far.
what medication was he on for?
Methylphenidate.
Could you pronounce that for me and spell it for him if you know?
Methylphenidate, I don't know the spelling.
Okay.
The name brand's Concerta. That
Okay.
helps.
Thank you.
And how often would you take that medication?
Every morning.
And did he take the medication on the cruise with him?
Yes. He also takes a nighttime pill as well.
The same medication?
No, it's clonidine.
What is that for?
Insomnia.
Did you hold on to the medications?
Yes.
Did you make sure he took his medications every day?
He took his morning pill every day, and he missed 2 doses of his clonidine at night.
You held on to the clonidine as well?
Mhm.
That's yes?
Yes, sorry.
And what do you mean he missed the doses? What happened there,
He went to bed before he got it. He was already asleep.
including that Thursday night?
No, Thursday night he didn't get it. I fell asleep before he did.
So 2 nights during the cruise, the stepbrother didn't get his clonopin or what have you. I thought it's called clonopin, but I could be wrong. But either way, the medicine for him to sleep, and she said it was because he had already fallen asleep before that, before she could give it to him. And then they clarified even that Thursday night, that last night there, and she said, no, he didn't get the medicine that night either, but it was because she fell asleep. What? Mm. That being said, I also don't believe for a second it's because he didn't have his sleepy pill that allowed for this situation to happen. I will put that on the record too. I by no means think like, oh, well, she failed or negligence on her part to give the medicine to sleep caused this. Absolutely not. I don't believe that for a second. But it does show that her mind and her priorities were in other places, at least.
So just to make sure I understand him, while on the cruise, he missed taking that nighttime medication twice. Like one of the nights was because he fell asleep prior to taking the medication, and the other night was the night before
Correct. I fell asleep before he
he
did.
fell asleep, so he did not get the medication the night
Yeah, he didn't come
before
and
the
ask for it.
incident.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
And was attending school prior to the cruise?
Yes.
And after the cruise, did she have to be removed from school?
They placed her on homeschool. They just unenrolled her this past Monday.
And why is that?
That was their choice to unenroll her.
Say their choice. Who are you talking about?
The school's choice. It had nothing to do with her behavior or anything. It had to do with the media.
She's currently on a homeschool status indefinitely.
No, she's being enrolled into another school.
Did you discuss that with Mr. Hudson?
I let him know that he had asked me to let him know when she was enrolled, and I told him I would. But I had just found out this week that she was unenrolled from the school.
As far as going to be allowed to come back to your home at any point?
At this time, no. Not with the FBI investigation.
Whether or not your husband will allow him to return to the home even if the investigation is concluded?
As of right now, he's not coming back to the home.
Okay, so right there. Even she first said that the stepson is not going to be allowed in the home because of the FBI investigation. They then clarified, well, even after the investigation is concluded, and then kind of threw it about like to her husband, would he allow it? And the answer was no, he's not allowed back to our home at this time. So, hey, Johnny, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going great for you. Thanks for being here.
No further questions from me.
Thank you, sir. Cross?
Morning.
Morning.
Ms. Kepner, who all went on the cruise with you?
Myself, my husband, Anna, the two youngest girls, and then my mother-in-law and father-in-law,
What are their names?
Jeff and Barbara Kepner.
And where was their room in relationship to where your room and the children's room was?
2 floors above us.
Did they also help in the supervision of the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Anna, who we know passed away.
Okay, so another right quick. So now back to what I had mentioned, how there had to be an adult in every room. A type of exception would be if an adult was in a conjoining room. We knew now for a fact that the parents were across the hall, so that was not conjoined. And she had just shared that the grandparents were up on a different level. So there at this point, there was no adult in a conjoining room. So and a lot of what I was reading was that to be considered an adult would be 21 to be the adult that's in the room, because initially it was thought, oh, well, Anna was 18, she was the adult. According to the cruise line, 18 isn't the age when it comes for adult in a room. That would be 21, unless there was somebody in a conjoining room, which is now been clearly stated during testimony that there wasn't. So that's a bit interesting. I'm curious then if they possibly put it in one of their names, say the father on the one room, in her perhaps on that room. But when the time came, the two parents went to theirs with the youngest and then had the other 3 stay in their own room. Mm.
She was 18, correct?
Correct.
And she was an adult.
Correct.
And was she given the option of staying in another room?
All 3 of the kids were.
And would that room have been with grandma and grandpa?
Correct.
And they didn't want to do that?
No, they wanted to stay together.
Did they all get along?
Yeah, the 3 of them are like the 3 amigos. They're best friends.
The 3 amigos. Stop it. Again, I get how it could maybe appear based off my own situation with my own stepbrothers, and boy, oh boy, we sure did look like we were close. That doesn't mean that's reality. Also, further, when you have people bringing it to your attention that it was seen on a video of the stepbrother getting on top of her while she was sleeping in the middle of the night, you should question just how close of amigos they really are. But, what was it? 2 peas in a pod is what the grandparent said, and now you get 3 amigos here. I don't know about all that, but Hey, AMAC, how you doing? I still think of Little Mac or Big Mac when we talked about that. When I see your name, good to see you. I hope you're doing great. You're behind catching up. Okay, well, I'll see you when you get to me saying that to you. Johnny, I hope you're well, Miss Pop. I am. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
And with regard to questioned about him, he's not a suspect, or you haven't been advised by anyone?
Correct, he's not a suspect.
As far as you know, is the only suspect in the death of Anna, your son?
Correct.
And with regard to the schooling, this was the movement of the children from one school to another wasn't because you just decided to randomly remove the children, correct?
Correct. The school decided to unenroll all of the children at the school.
Okay. When you say all of the children, who
We had 4 total, including Anna, go to that school. They unenrolled the other 3 kids.
Okay. All right. Because of the, and you were told because of the media coverage?
Yes.
And did they give you the recommendations of the school that you have enrolled them in?
Yes.
And that this new school is aware of the situation?
Correct.
And there's been no problems with Anna at the school, or I'm sorry, at the school since this incident, correct?
Correct.
She was a good student? As far
Yep.
as-
Straight A's.
I don't believe I have any further questions at this
Thank you.
time.
Any redirect?
Mentioned her being a good student. Is she also diagnosed ADHD?
No.
Is she on any medication?
Yes, she takes some migraine medicine daily.
And are you the one that administers that medication?
Yes.
How long has she been on that medication?
She's been on that medication for 2 years now.
No further questions.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You may say. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The state.
Got me. I tried to pause it and it clicked the new video. All right, so that was just her testimony. Again, there were others that were called. I believe 2 other witnesses that were called up were from that school, the Christian school. The oldest son of Chantal and her ex-husband, the 18-year-old, he was also witness on, and was that's where he shared that allegedly there was an incident prior to all of this that happened with Christopher, his mom Chantal, and himself. And because of that, he then moved to go stay with his biological father. And there was another that testified in regards to seeing Chantal serving her minors alcohol at a previous time. So I'm going to bring you over on this one. And so he ends up speaking with this journalist here who was in court, and she's the one that is going to fill in some of these gaps that we didn't get to see during the hearing.
We are continuing to follow up on the investigation into the death of Anna Kepner and this unrelated custody case involving her stepmother that is in some ways now tied to this because of the 16-year-old stepbrother of Anna Kepner being, according to court documents, the central suspect in her death. And we heard about that in a Brevard County courtroom earlier today. I want to bring in Fox 35's Esther Bauer, who joins us live now via Zoom. Esther, you were in that courtroom for that hearing today in this custody dispute. What can you tell us about what happened in court?
So the hearing did not last very long. This started just after 9 a.m. and everything was wrapped up around 10:30, 10:45. We can say this was a win for Anna's stepmom, Chantel, because what her ex was trying to say is all these circumstances that happened on this cruise where 18-year-old Anna Kepner was found dead. Now her 16-year-old stepbrother is being investigated as a suspect in her murder. All this happened under mom's watch. So he was trying to get the other younger children out of the care of his mom. Now, a judge ultimately shot that down. These minor children will not be leaving their home in Titusville. So that's kind of why we were here. What was this custody hearing supposed to be about? But through all this and them trying to build their cases, we've now learned some more details about what was going on that cruise. So some pertinent points that we haven't known until just a few hours prior is that the parents did not see Anna. The last time they saw her was Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And we are told around 7 p.m. was the final time they saw the 16-year-old stepbrother. So 6:30 for Anna, just a half an hour later, that was the final time Anna's stepmom, Chantel, said while in court she saw both of those kids. Keep in mind, Anna was found the following day, the entire night hour, and then 11 a.m. is when that medical call came out. Anna was pronounced dead on the cruise ship 11/17. So we're getting just some more details of when were the children last seen by their parents. Also, there was conversation of what was the sleeping situation? Where were parents? Where were kids? The mother said that who they were booking this cruise with, their travel rep, suggested to them that they do the separate rooms. Mom and dad were staying, hallway was right here. All the three kids were staying in the room directly across from them. We confirmed ages 18, 16, 14. 18-year-old.
Okay. All I add on to that is that, sure, the travel agent may have recommended that, but as the parents and the parents that have been made aware, allegedly, according to the ex-boyfriend of Anna and the father of that ex-boyfriend, was that the parents were informed of this situation that took place. So the travel agent can recommend all they want, but as the parents, they knew a bit more information about their own personal lives and scenario, and I feel like they shouldn't have just plop it all on the agent. Like, oh, they recommended that it was the best way to do it. Well, maybe so, but not in that situation. It's not. Hey, ACB, good to see you. You don't know about that. Which part? The part she just said about the travel agent recommendation? Yeah, Grandma Sherry. Yeah, this woman looks really young. If you're talking about her, she's got very pretty eyes though. But she is all up in that camera. But she's got a lot of information. She definitely took good note of the things being discussed because again, she's going to explain some of the stuff we didn't get to hear.
Was Anna. 16-year-old is the stepbrother that is currently being investigated for this alleged murder. 14-year-old was another child. And again, these are step siblings that were staying in that same room at the same time. The mother said during her time speaking to a judge that these kids did not have access to drinking. However, another witness was called. This was a stepmother of Chantel who said that she did see Chantel serving underage children liquor in an early.
Okay, so that's the part I had to go back on. A stepmother of Chantel? Hold on.
At the same time. The mother said during her time speaking to a judge that these kids did not have access to drinking. However, another witness was called. This was a stepmother of Chantel.
That's interesting. We got stepmothers for days in this family. So a stepmother of Chantel gave testimony that she had seen Chantel serving alcohol to the minors. Oof. So she wasn't found until 11 a.m. Where did both the others sleep? In that same room with her. The way it's been described was that there was one bed that was just single that is where Anna was believed to have been, that was her bed, and then there was a bunk bed set up, and that allegedly that's where the 16-year-old stepbrother and the 14-year-old half-brother were sleeping. Either way, it's in close proximity, not too far, considering where her body was put underneath her own bed. But again, I don't know. I really don't like the timeline, knowing that the parents went to their room damn near right on the heels of Anna and the stepbrother going to their room, and it would be in the same time frame. I'm just curious, like when the half brother couldn't get into his room, did he try to knock on the parents' door and let them know, but they were already asleep, so they just didn't hear him? They just didn't know there was even an incident happening. But then wouldn't he have said something in the morning when they went to breakfast? I don't know. The timeline with that is really concerning. There's a curtain that could be drawn between the two sections. Right, and no balcony, I'm guessing. I believe I heard they said they didn't on their floor, with their room. In the Because I think if they had, I think we could probably guess what might have happened rather than under the bed. Awful. Either way, there would have been camera footage of that too. So, I mean, he wouldn't have got away with it any better. But yeah, my guess would be probably it's what he would have done, or whoever allegedly did it.
Who said that she did see Chantel serving underage children liquor in an earlier time frame. So that was brought up, but again, Chantel immediately and has said from the beginning the kids were not drinking on this cruise. So those were some really
Either way, I still find that should be a little bit of concern with the judge to have heard that there is at least a history of Chantel serving alcohol to underage. But yeah, the judge said they didn't think that was that, along with the rest of the testimony, was enough to make the younger child go stay with the biological father. Mm.
big takeaways from what we learned. The family did leave the courthouse just a few minutes ago. We tried to ask them, I should say, how will they get justice for Anna? Do they know what happened on that cruise ship? The family had sunglasses on. Both the ex-husband's side and Chantel and her current husband, which is Anna's dad, left without saying a word. So everyone has since departed from the courtroom. Something else we learned, which we've reported on, and early on in this, one of the first confirmations we had about Anna dying back in November was from her school, that Temple Christian school. We learned today during the court hearing the other minor children that were attending that school were unenrolled by the school. The school ultimately told the family there was too much media surrounding what had happened on that cruise ship. So they are now putting their other minor children in other school because the Christian school where Anna was attending and all the kids were going, told them they can no longer attend that school. So a lot of new developments. Again, this didn't go in the biological dad's favor. And again, this would be the biological dad of the suspect being investigated by the FBI because he wanted his other minor daughter to be immediately put in his hands, in his care. But we're also hearing mother testified that the 16-year-old stepbrother who's under investigation will not be allowed back into their home going forward. Her and Anna's dad, Chris, and there is no timeline. Again, no one's been arrested. No one's been charged for this. But she also did say at this time and going forward, they are not welcoming that child back into their home. That child is staying with a relative of the mom. And as we learned, the FBI has not told them when they would move forward, where things are, and what they're looking into. So for the foreseeable future, this 16-year-old stepbrother of Anna will be staying somewhere else and will not be welcomed back into his parents' home, at least his mother's home, going forward.
Esther, when we spoke yesterday, we talked about the subpoena for Christopher Kepner, who is Anna's biological father, and you outlined the difficulties of the process server trying to get that subpoena to him. We talked about some of the questions of whether he might show up, whether he might be called to testify. Was he there today?
Christopher was there. Anna's dad was there. He walked hand in hand in with his wife, Chantel. He was in court, but he was not called to the stand. The judge only allowed 3 witnesses from the ex-husband's side to speak. She ultimately said, I have heard enough. This does not rise to this. This does not rise to the fact where we need to immediately pull the other minor children out. But Anna's dad, Chris, was in court, did not have to speak, and also didn't say anything when he left with his wife.
See, so again, it makes me wonder about that contempt hearing that they're going to be having on the 17th. I'm curious on exactly who is that in regard to, because we know it must not be Christopher. He still showed, even though he did dodge getting served the subpoena or attempted to dodge it. But strange. Also, Sunset. On cruises, people normally get up early and get organized to leave their ship that day. The parents would have contacted the kids in the morning. Everyone would have known Anna was not in her cabin. Right. I agree with that too. I think about even when I was camping when I was younger. You're right. It probably talked to you the night before, even too. Like, hey, tomorrow morning, y'all got to be up at this time. And as you're brushing your teeth and whatnot, get everything kind of gathered in a spot, and then we'll do breakfast, right? But you immediately got to get back, get everything packed up, you know. So as I choke on myself, so I agree with you. I mean, at least that's how it was with my family when I was much younger, and I go on just like camping and whatnot. So I could see how that would have been a possibility too. I don't know. Friday was an at-sea day. Newport's a call. I don't know.
It looked like there were quite a few people inside the courtroom. What was the scene like in there in the gallery?
So we do know that they had to move it to a larger courtroom because they were prepping for what was going to be a large turnout of media and other people that were going to be. The courtroom was not full, but what they did do is they wanted to bar any witnesses. There were several witnesses that were called, someone from DCF, someone from the Christian school, 2 people from the Christian school that we didn't hear from. All the witnesses were told to leave when every witness was called in. Both sides did not want other witnesses to hear what the...
Okay, hold on. So 2 people from the school did not get heard from? And then also DCF. I just wanted to rehear what she said of who... She said who was there, but then she also said some were not heard from. I just want to hear real quick. That part.
Their children out, but Anna's dad, Chris, was in court, did not have to speak, and also didn't say anything when he left with his wife.
It looked like there were quite a few people inside the courtroom. What was the scene like in there in the gallery?
So we do know that they had to move it to a larger courtroom because they were prepping for what was going to be a large turnout of media and other people that were going to be. The courtroom was not full, but what they did do is they wanted to bar any witnesses. There were several witnesses that were called, someone from DCF, someone from the Christian school, 2 people from the Christian school that we didn't hear from. All the witnesses were told to leave when every witness was called in. Both sides did not want other witnesses to hear what the other people were saying. So because of that, the courtroom was even more bare. There was a decent amount of media, but the courtroom was by no way full.
Huh.
All right. Interesting developments.
So it still doesn't say... It still doesn't say exactly whether or not the DCF witness was heard from, but it does sound as though the 2 from the school were not. So, Grandma Sherry, you're saying that since the Friday was at sea, no port, that it pretty much was treated like a full day, full normal day, is what you're thinking? The itinerary for the cruise. Interesting on that one.
In this case, as we also continue to learn more from these court documents as well in that case that have now confirmed her what is believed to be her cause of death and where her body was found on that cruise ship. So continuing to be just a sad story that we are following there. Fox 35's Esther Bauer, we appreciate you joining us and talking with us about this here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The other thing, again, I'm curious, just kind of looking through just to see if they do end up showing anybody else's testimony on it. It's interesting that they did show hers, but are they going to show anybody else's, or, perhaps like if it blacked their face out or their name or anything like that. 3 hours ago, what? That was an hour. How long did our original one go? Let's look, because it went 17 minutes. Okay, hold up. Hold up a second. Here. I apparently was already on this. I don't know. Okay, yeah, here. Let me bring you over here. Okay, so it appears to be more coverage from that same man. The same media. Here is earlier, though, in the courtroom. All right.
A contempt hearing being held on December the 17th, I believe, before Magistrate Valentine.
There could be my answer. What exactly is this contempt hearing about?
Showing the opening statement, we're going to hear from the judge who talked about kind of what we're hearing in this case, and then the opening statements from each of the attorneys on both sides of this former marriage as they go through this custody dispute. So again, this happened just a little bit ago in Brevard County.
I reviewed the emergency motion for temporary relief, Mr. Smith, and it does appear as though a lot of the allegations alleged within that motion are really in the nature of contempt. I know that there is a contempt proceeding, a contempt hearing being held on December the 17th, I believe, before Magistrate Valentine. The court's purpose in the hearing today is only to address the issues as it relates to an emergency. So as I'm looking at the motion, the paragraph specifically that the court will address would be related to paragraph 7. The 16-year-old child is now a suspect in the death of the stepchild during the cruise. While released from custody, the 16-year-old child is residing with a third party. Paragraph 17, the 16-year-old's future has been put in jeopardy because of the choices made by the respondent. And paragraph 19, and most importantly, the youngest child is at immediate risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect in the care of the respondent. So those are the issues that the court is going to address here this morning, is whether or not, in fact, the court needs to take some sort of emergency action based on those allegations contained within the motion. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Smith, you may begin with opening.
Your Honor, in this case, obviously, it's our position that the youngest child is at risk for a number of reasons. As the court is aware through the pleadings, there's a young lady who's passed away. That matter is still under investigation. That was not my client's child, but the stepchild of the mother in this case, and the remaining 16-year-old is now a suspect in that case. In this case, the mother took the children.
Also, heads up, I'm not positive that they got to censor the names on this one. So Law and Crime, you know what I mean. Law and Crime did censor out the minors' names. I don't know. I mean, it showed in my history that I had started watching this exact stream. I know one of the ones I had turned on did not. So I just want to give a heads up that these names might not be censored on this one, which is not ideal for me anyway.
Again, on a cruise against my client's wishes, while preventing him from having regular contact with those children. We believe that the arrangements that were made by the mother, as far as the sleeping arrangements, were insufficient. That the 18-year-old, 16-year-old, and another 14-year-old were all placed in the same stateroom. There's indications that they may have, because they were in international waters, may have been engaging in activities that they normally couldn't engage in while they were in the United States properly being supervised. In addition, we will present evidence that through the older child, who's now 18, so he's an adult, but he is the son of the parties, as to violence, alcohol use in the past, and he's been living with his father for approximately almost 2 years now, since these parties had their separation, where, as the court is aware, there was an original divorce case, there was parenting time, both parties were in Hernando County. Then the mother relocated by agreement between the parties over to Titusville.
So yeah, again, the 18-year-old, the biological parents to the 18-year-old are Chantel, Anna's stepmom. I keep calling her Anna, and I mean Anna. But Anna's stepmother and her ex-husband. So they actually have a child that's older than the 16-year-old that's being discussed as a potential suspect. And the older 18-year-old, 2 years ago, is when he said that this issue happened that had like physical violence in it, with him being restrained, and that involved his mom, Chantal, as well as Christopher. So, oh boy. Hey, Emmy, how's it going? Listening on your drive. Drive safely. Hopefully your heat is pumped up, because it is stinking freezing. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Since she relocated to Titusville, that's when the problems have occurred, where the father has been very limited in his access to the children. I'd reserve with regard to any other comments until closing.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Smith. If the oldest child has been residing with the respondent for 2 years, and this, I mean, we're dealing, I understand, I saw that there is a supplemental petition for modification that's also pending, so that would be an ultimate issue for trial. How would this, is it your intention to have the oldest child testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what if has the oldest child had any contact with the 2 other children or the respondent since he's been living with the petitioner for the last 2 years?
Well, one of the main things is the circumstances where he wound up living with my client. There was a physical altercation.
That would have been 2 years ago, correct?
A year and a half, yes, Your Honor. And he was also allowed to drink alcohol, which again, I think goes to the relevancy of whether these children were, whether the mother in this case encouraged the underage alcohol, especially on the cruise ship. And the violence that, I mean, this, again, the allegations are this 18-year-old has passed away in a violent manner. The 18-year-old will testify is that there was violence between himself, his mother, and the stepfather. And he has had recent contact with, and I think that goes to the whether there's any risk to returning to the father. The child was allowed finally to come over for a Thanksgiving visit.
The child being, okay.
She was restricted from contact with the one that there are allegations against, but did have contact with Andrew, her adult brother, and exhibited no fear, no reservations. Both my client as well as the 18-year-old can testify about that.
Well, remember though, this isn't we're here on an emergency motion. So this isn't an issue as to where it is in the best interest of the minor children to reside. I mean, that is ultimately an issue for trial in the modification action. The only issue that we're here to address today is whether or not is in imminent danger remaining in the petitioner's care as a result of recent incidents. So that's really primarily the court's concern today.
But, and Your Honor, I understand that position, and certainly whether or not the child is to be removed from the mother is whether or not there's an imminent risk to the child. I think the court also has to look at where the child would be placed and the circumstances there as to whether there's any harm to relocating the child. I think you have to, in terms of emergency relief and an injunction, essentially, you have to look at.
I think you're looking at 2 different things. This isn't an injunctive relief. I mean, you're not here seeking injunctive relief. I mean, that would have been in the injunction court, correct?
We're seeking to have the child removed from the mother and placed with the father. So I think that the court needs to look at whether or not there would be any harm to that. Obviously, our position is there wouldn't be, that she'd be able to transition to the father.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree with your argument, Mr. Smith, but I understand what your argument is. Okay, Ms. Anderson, opening?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court. We believe, and I think we filed that in our response, that there's no emergency that exists. There was an incident on the cruise ship. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is investigating that. There have been no arrests made yet, but since my clients were advised that he was a suspect in that, after he was released from the hospital upon the return to the United States, he was placed with a relative of the mother's. And not only did that happen, but mom contacted dad, and dad signed an agreement to say that this child would be placed with a third party, thereby removing any risk of any danger to any of the other children in the home. So that has been resolved, and there's been nothing mentioned of that. Nobody's saying, I don't hear the other side saying that they participated in that in any way, whereas the father was advised and did participate. The minor child, you're going to hear testimony that she's fine, that there is no risk to her. There were abuse reports made. We have a person here from the Department of Children and Families that can attest that there's no concerns about the child remaining in the care of Sean.
Okay, so that sounds as though the Child Protective Services, it had been mentioned that it seemed as though they had been involved prior to Anna's death. And right here, they just said, yes, they'll testify, that there were abuse allegations made. But they say that there were no findings of it. So, I mean, we learn a little bit more that there were allegations put out previous to what happened to Anna. They don't say specifically for who, abuse to who or against who, but just that there were some allegations of that. So, but no findings of it, apparently. But we have heard that before in covered cases where they're actually, the child's no longer with us anymore because it got overlooked or fell through the cracks in some way. So, yeah.
Cal and Chris Kepner.
All right, thank you.
So that was of the opening statements from both attorneys, and Lauren Cadillac, an attorney and a legal analyst, joining me now to talk a little bit about this. And we heard the judge kind of really making it clear that this was all about the emergency motion to remove this other minor child from the mother, who is also Anna Kepner's stepmother, and placing it with the father.
Okay, so then they talk with the specialist. I'll drop the link too if you guys want to hear what this lady says that's with him. She might actually have some fantastic insight. But then if you see right here, the middle part will be Chantel's testimony. And then I'm going to pick us back up right here so we can listen to this back end of it.
Being staying somewhere else right now and not staying with the family.
The issue for this court today is whether or not the children in this case are in imminent danger. And I've heard lots of testimony with regard to what happened back in 2024, what happened on the West Coast. But other than the incident that happened on the cruise, I've heard nothing to indicate that is in imminent danger or harm at this time. How long is expected to remain with the relative?
At this point, we're not sure. We're not sure what the FBI is going to do, whether he's going to be charged federally or whether they're going to turn it over to the state. My client is waiting to hear on that. They're also waiting on some testing results. They've done a bunch of psychological testing and psychiatric testing. So they're also waiting to hear about that. And so,
all right, so there was the part that is now stating they don't know if it's going to stay with the federal or if it's going to go to state. Sounds as though, or if there's going to be any charges at all. But the way that this is being worded, sounds like it's pretty imminent that there will be charges. They just don't know if federal is going to hold on to it or give it to state. I don't know how that will go if they give it to state, considering like how strong that'll be for the defense to argue that it happened in international waters. That being said, as much as juveniles are really dealt with child gloves, which they should, they're children, they're minors, right? But there's a lot of protections and a lot of things put in place to ensure that nothing goes over the line when juveniles have charges against them. But with the federal, it's even stronger. And so it would be really hard, I feel like, with the federal if they were to go with charges through them. I don't know how that would go. So it might be better if they were to give it to state. I just don't know how that would look. I would have to listen to an attorney to have better insight on how that would go with the defense stance back that it happened in international water, but Florida would be trying to charge. I don't know how that would go. I'd be very interested to hear what attorneys have to say about that. Then also there was a second part there that I'm forgetting now what was said. The testing. That there's further tests that they're waiting to get results back on. One of those we can presume was likely from test on Anna, toxicology, things like that. But it also sounds like perhaps testing that was done with the stepbrother. And I did read that they did things with like psychological testing, further testing with the stepbrother as well. So where's Anna's biomom in this? I mean, it seems I didn't hear anything about her needing to be here for this, being it has to do with the Chantel, the stepmom, and her ex-husband. But her biomom has spoke out. You had followed the case. Okay, so her biomom hadn't been a part of Anna's life for many of the recent years of her life. She claims that it was due to additional friction from Chris, from the father. And so when she was in Oklahoma, but tried to continue to have a relationship with Anna, there was an incident where they were at the airport and she claims she gave the middle finger and had some choice words that she said to Chris. But Christopher told Anna that her mother said them and flipped her off. And so she feels that's what added more tension and and division between her daughter and herself. The only weight I'll give into that, of that it's probably not just her story. She also did drugs. That was another thing. So she isn't perfect in all this. She ended up with her own addictions that she was trying to fight. But she found out that her daughter was deceased from Google. She wasn't contacted by Chris or anyone else in the family about it. And she was told by Chris that she was not to attend the memorial service. And if she did, that he would have her arrested for back child support. So to me, that does sound like, and he said that Anna wouldn't have wanted her there. I feel like at some point you need to just let it go. The tensions go. Y'all's daughter is no longer with us, so you just leave the petty crap. But the bio mother ended up putting on clothes to kind of disguise herself and higher lifted like boots to make herself appear taller, because she is a very short lady, and so she figured if she wore taller shoes, it would help her maybe not look so obvious. And she said she didn't get noticed, but she didn't stay the full time either. She was paranoid and concerned about getting the cops called on her. So, yeah, there's definitely tensions in that aspect with the bio mom. Yeah, but she did try to stay in contact with Anna on like birthdays, holidays, and things like that. But there was definitely a division for sure.
They don't know at this time how long the child is going to be.
I'm going to pull that back right quick. That was in regards to the testing they're waiting for results on.
Expected to remain with the relative.
At this point, we're not sure. We're not sure what the FBI is going to do, whether he's going to be charged federally or whether they're going to turn it over to the state. My client is waiting to hear on that. They're also waiting on some testing results. They've done a bunch of psychological testing and psychiatric testing, so they're also waiting to hear about that. And so they don't know at this time how long the child is going to be at her relative's house.
Is there any expectation that he will be coming back to Titusville in the near future?
No.
Okay. All right. Then based on the evidence that's been presented today, I don't find that there is an emergency and there isn't any imminent risk of harm. I understand that there may be some issues with regard to contempt. I understand that there is a hearing pending on December the 17th before Magistrate Valentin as it relates to the motion for contempt, and I believe an amended motion for contempt has been filed as well. But for my purposes, the only thing that the court was hearing.
So they talk about it again. There is a motion of contempt and a amended motion for contempt, but they're not saying for who. I'm super curious. I'm sure if I search this, I might be able to find it. So I will look into it and see if we can get the answer on that. But that's interesting. I feel like the reason she just made that decision that she made about not thinking that the youngest child should be placed into the father's care is off of those final questions right there, of that kind of put it in stone for her, I think, with the statements that he is staying at a separate place, not with either parent, and that they're still waiting on testing to come back. So I think her decision was made off of, if he's not there, there isn't as really this emergency threat that would need to move the youngest child. I don't think that's exactly the angle that the father was trying to make. I think he's trying to imply his concerns of the ability to parent, the ability to protect, period. Like whether the 16-year-old is in the home or not, look at the history of the alleged physical conflict that took place with his oldest son, the 18-year-old, that took place with Christopher and Chantal. And then the fact of reports coming out and testified to that Chantal was serving alcohol to minors. Like, I think they're trying to show the pattern, the history, that parenting isn't up to par and that there is neglect happening. But I don't believe that's what the judge was focused. I think she kind of focused on the fact that the 16-year-old's not there, and so there's no concern. I think it was a bigger problem. The dad probably has the contempt order, or do you think Christopher would have the contempt? I don't know. I don't know if they can give contempt over the fact that he didn't take the subpoena from the one that came and actually was trying to serve him. Because at the end of the day, he did still show up. Like, it was shown, they believe that the subpoena had been taken off the windshield, probably. The vehicle was gone, and then, oh, you think Chantel's ex? Was it a past contempt? I feel like I'm not remember. You may be calling something that I'm just completely blanking on. Yeah, because I don't think it is Chris, but maybe the ex. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up though. Let's see if we can find out exactly who it's in regard to.
Here this morning is the emergency motion for temporary relief, most specifically as to paragraph 17 or 19, when it says the youngest child is at immediate risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect in the care of the respondent. The court has not heard anything to indicate that there is an imminent risk. Now, certainly, if there was a situation where he was returned to the home and is in the home with, that may be another basis to for a motion to be brought at that time. But so long as he is no longer in the home, I don't see that there would be any risk. So I am, yes, sir, I hear you, Mr. Smith.
I actually didn't say anything.
Okay, so she just said if I had just waited. She said exactly what I suspected. Her focus is more on whether the 16-year-old was in the home and the dangers from specifically him. But again, my viewing of this was that's not exactly what the biological father was concerned as much about as the negligence of the parenting ability. But we'll see what they say right now.
Okay, I look like you're about to. So I am going to deny the emergency motion for temporary relief. I will prepare a written order, and I will have that order filed, I would anticipate, by Monday or Tuesday of next week. All right, that concludes the proceedings. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So that was the judge's decision. You heard a little bit more about that. And then.
All right, I'm going to bring you over. So 2 hours ago, people.com put out here, and I think you're right, Grandma Sherry. I think you're right. All right, so stepbrother of Anna is sent to live with relatives after cruise ship death because mom feared children's safety. New details about her death were revealed during an emergency custody hearing involving the victim's stepmother. And I read it in the main write-up on this in Google. The stepbrother of Anna is currently living with relatives at an undisclosed location, known only to his parents and law enforcement. Chantel, the boy's mother, said that she sent the teen away for the intention of, quote, removing any risk of any danger to any of the other children in the home. A lawyer for Chantel strongly suggests criminal charges would be filed in Anna's death, but it's unclear if state or federal prosecutors would handle the case. That's how I took it too. Was that it sounds like it's happening, but so I want to see if I can right here, perhaps. I just want to find that part we're specifically looking for. Right there. That might be it. Hold up. They obtained all right, so people obtained documents confirming that the teenager is staying with a third party who holds power of attorney and can only be removed with the consent of both parents. The documents also state his location is known only to Chantel, Thomas, and law enforcement. And right here, perhaps. Friday, the judge denied Thomas's request for an emergency motion. However, listen to this. Right here. Thomas will be back in court on December 17th for a contempt hearing after filing a motion alleging that his wife did not have his permission to take their 2 children out of the country on the cruise. He also said that he had been blocked from seeing his 2 younger children for the past 18 months, described an incident 2 weeks ago in which Christopher and his parents allegedly interfered with a custody exchange between him and Chantel when she went to pick up their daughter, leading to a verbal altercation, according to a filing obtained by People. Thomas was allowed to spend time with his youngest daughter for the first time in over a year on Thanksgiving, just after a date was set for the emergency custody hearing. So, interesting. Yeah. So, Grim, sure, you were closer on that. So, the 17th of this month, there'll be another hearing. So, contempt hearing. Interesting. And then I just want to look through the rest of this really quick. Stuff that we already know. That was interesting too, the power of attorney. So, I mean, they fully have given it all over. So, oof. And then we already know this part as well. And no charges have been filed, and officials have not named a suspect. But Chantal's attorney strongly suggests charges would be filed. The attorney also said the FBI was determining whether to turn over the evidence in the case to state or local authorities. When asked to confirm this, an FBI spokesperson declined to comment. Of course, I would be surprised if they actually did say anything. That's just not how FBI rolls at all. And then this is other information we already know as well. So, all right, I just wanted to make sure that we had that answer on that because I've heard it talked about a bunch of times today and just wanted to get a definite answer. For them to deny his request for his girl's custody. That one they did today. That was more like the emergency motion out of the concern of well-being and safety, which the judge denied. It said, no, I don't think that there's any imminent danger. However, the 17th, it sounds like they're going to discuss perhaps more so the fact that they took his children out of the country without his permission. While again, Chantal said it wasn't necessary this time for a sign off by the biological father to have the passports for the children. She said this time it wasn't necessary and needed, but the biological father is saying, I did not give permission. I didn't give consent, and Christopher, as well as Chantal, took my children out of the country. So I see that the judge wanted to deal first and foremost with the danger, and then now 17th they'll get to the rest of it. Interesting. Also, I wanted to show you. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to find. I think it'd be better if I upload what I recorded of it, probably, than going to the actual TikTok. But I wanted to show you real quick a TikTok from Anna that falls right in line with my last stream when I was talking about the mother being absent from her life or whatnot, not as present as teenage girls need for their mother to be, and the fact that everything that you would ask a mom to be there for you for wasn't. In fact, it ended up being her father that was there. And I had said when I was younger too, I gave so much credit. I said my father was my hero. I gave all the credit to my dad. When I got older, I realized he wasn't a hero. He just got stuck with me. Like, and so I understand as a teenager being upset with your mother and the distance when you really do need a mom in your life. There's a Kelly Pickler song, and man, it hit home for me with like needing your mother there to do your hair for your prom, your first of things, and needing a mother. So, and I see very similar with Anna here, but.
I still remember you blacked out, face down.
Sad, right? It's so sad. But also the flip side, like I get it. That would be me when I was younger. I was the same exact way. It took growing up and really, but to know like he failed her too. She gave so much credit and really truly he was there for her. And then he let his selfishness take over and failed her, in my opinion. Wife number 2, Tabitha, was a good mom per yeah. So, yes, okay, so speaking of Tabitha, there's something I didn't disclose last stream because I hadn't heard anybody truly asking the family about this information. So I didn't wanna disclose it. I might be able to, let me see right quick. If I can Nancy Grace, if anybody had seen her stream that she did on Anna, she did make mention. She did talk about it, and it came from the aunt. So it'd be Anna's aunt that had shared this information with Nancy Grace. And so it's at least out there now. Again, mm, they didn't go as deep in detail of what has actually been being put out. Just trying to find it in my history from Nancy Grace's footage. However, it does have to do with Tabitha and how exactly Christopher met Tabitha. Boy, oh boy, I watch a lot of stuff. All right, I got it. Okay.
Breaking news tonight. The Carnival Cruise teen girl, the little cheerleader, we now learn fought for her life, strangled dead, a mechanical strangulation. What is that? And why no charges? I'm Nancy Grace.
Also, she said something else in here that wasn't exactly factual either. I forget right now off the top of my head what that was, but that's talking about the strangulation. I'm not sure the timestamp of when we would find this information. I do not remember where it was. Still talking about strangulation. It was when she was talking to the aunt, so perhaps if I go through some of these, it will tell. Nope, it sure doesn't. Right there. Boy, oh boy. I didn't know I was going to show this part, so.
What has happened to in their behaviors in the situation. So, it also could be the consciousness of guilt. When you have the consciousness of guilt, those emotions can come on strong. So I would probably say it's somewhere in those two realms, Nancy.
Then you have the whole other can of worms with the bio mom. What are we hearing from her?
She never once tried to call me, get a hold of me, and anything when she died. I found it.
So pretty-eyed. The woman speaking is Heather, which is her biological mother. And so this is her sharing how she didn't get informed. She wasn't told by Christopher. She found out by Google.
Out through Google.
Heather says on top of discovering Anna died through internet searches instead of her father, Kepner also told her she wasn't welcome at Anna's celebration of life service. She claims Kepner threatened to have her arrested. Heather wore a disguise to her own daughter's memorial so she could say goodbye in peace. Heather is not mentioned in Anna's obituary.
I'm going to put a wig on and wear some really tall shoes because I'm 4'9".
Wish to an Inside Edition. Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Please. Real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Remember things, I feel so bad. I got to go to the hospital. I can't prove it yet. And all of a sudden now they found God.
Is vehemently denying that the teens had alcohol. Of course, the family is stunned. They've got Anna dead, stuffed under a bed. They've got the 16-year-old, reportedly a target. Listen.
He was a good student.
Played soccer.
He played soccer, very quiet young man. He had demons, I think, in his past, and he was trying to deal with those.
Barbara and Jeffrey Kepner are shocked Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother is being eyed as the suspect in her murder, describing them as two peas in a pod and very close. She says the teen was distraught when he learned Anna's body was found and couldn't speak during an initial interview with FBI agent.
Yeah. Where is the part with the aunt? It was such a short portion that I don't know. I think it would be more luck if I end up hitting on it. It was very short.
Heard him yelling at her, like in a harmful way, of like shut the hell up and stuff like that. Like something was like banging around and stuff, and like the chairs were getting thrown around in the room.
From Inside Edition. American homeowners, the FBI.
Yeah, okay. Use code Nancy.
Hearing a lawyer says they were drinking. What is the truth? We're learning a lot because of divorce proceedings. Listen.
enough time passed. So again,
No.
there'd have to be.
Attorney stated that the teens had been drinking the blanket. That's yet to happen. He was on FaceTime with her.
Former law enforcement guys.
Oh, my Lanta, y'all. I don't know where it is. However, Tabitha, that ended up being the second wife, had been 15 and a babysitter. And that's how they ended up meeting. At what point they actually got married, what age, I am unsure. I am unsure of that. They haven't disclosed that, but the aunt did come out and say, yes, that's how he even met the second wife. That being said, she was a very good mother or stepmother to Anna, according to her biological mother. So by no means should there be any bashing of her. I mean, I don't feel she did anything wrong. It just shows a bit of a history with Christopher that's a bit concerning. So I don't know. And there is stuff to back that up. It's not just random claims put out. There are, in fact, court papers, court documents that I have that, again, I still, even with Nancy Grace putting it out, I don't feel comfortable really showing it all. But there are court records that do show charges, and then they show that they ultimately were dismissed. So at the end of the day, he wasn't convicted of anything. Yes, charged, but then dismissed. The explanation about why, again, it just shows strange family dynamics had been occurring further back. It wasn't just a recent thing where dynamics in the family were strange and out of the ordinary. It seems to have been that way. And it's really sad for Anna that she had to grow up with these kind of family dynamics happening around her. There's nothing you could do. As a child, you're stuck in that environment and you just have to make the best of it. And unfortunately, she was failed in so many ways. That's truly devastating. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you're off work. Yay. It's Friday, yeah? Do you actually have a normal work week? So it's your weekend? I hope so. But yeah, so and like with the obituary, they rewrote it like 3 times, maybe more, but they didn't have Heather's name put on there initially, which is the biological mother. Then they had Tabitha's on. They did another one and they removed Tabitha's name and added Heather. I don't think they needed to remove Tabitha. She should have stayed on. She took good care of her. Heather is the biological mom. She should be on there. And eventually, it was the last right of it that they removed the stepbrother that's potential suspect. I have to rewind. Seems this case is getting even more and more crazy. It is. It's really, really sad. Really awful. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I had seen that I wanted to make sure that I discussed with you. Again, the 18-year-old that's the biological child of Chantel and her ex-husband giving a testimony on the stand that there was physical altercations that took place with Christopher and his mom, Chantel. So that was also new that had come out. Let me look really quick. Judge now says that Anna's stepbrother is a suspect. Anna's stepmother admits in bitter custody hearing that her son is likely. Let's see what that says. Likely. What is this? Hold on one moment. Okay, here. This appears to possibly be when they're coming in or out of court. Let me bring you to this right quick. Make sure I don't have anything across the screen. Okay. This appears to be maybe when they're entering or exiting. Leaving court. Okay, so it looks like they just do further information about her starting her senior year. And that she had passed. But yeah, so the very beginning though was each side of the family appeared. I'm going to assume that this may be the biological father of the stepbrother, perhaps. And then maybe this is the 18-year-old. Just guesses. I'm not for certain of it. But I know the second family they show is obviously Chantel, Christopher, and that side of the family. Yeah. Okay, and the reporter asked how the stepbrother's doing. So, yep. And then this one is Chantel, Christopher, and their family. The grandparents are behind as well, right there. Boy. Yeah. So quite a few details that come out. Still no charges. We did learn now that we don't know if it's going to be staying with the FBI or if they're going to give it over to state or local. Yeah. So a bunch of details. Still though, no charges. Nothing in regard to justice. Judge did make the decision that she didn't feel the youngest would have been step sibling of Anna was in danger to stay within the home that she's been in with Chantal and Christopher. So that stays the same. And then the 17th, there'll be another hearing that'll happen. So I will keep an eye out for that. And whatever they provide of information, I'll go live or do an upload for you, depending how much comes out of it. If anything else comes out in the meantime, again, if it's something minor, I might do an upload. I get my new monitor tomorrow, so once I get that set up, I should be rocking and rolling a whole lot easier than things have been as of lately. So, there might be more court documents that end up coming out as well. I have been looking through some of them that have been released that they don't talk about too much on some of these media outlets, but I'll keep an eye out for it, and we will see. But yeah, that's the update for that. I will remove this. All right, I'm gonna go. Oh, I almost just ended the stream. Let's not do that yet. Hey, Twist. Was listening, just couldn't chat. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, so I will keep it under 2 hours. I mean, 1 hour would have been great, but the hearing was an hour, so. But yeah, just the update on it. And like I said, if anything else comes out, I will let you all know. And I will take us out by showing something cute or adorable or positive or uplifting, just to kind of break up the heavy from the stream. Continue to keep Anna's loved ones in your thoughts, prayers, good vibes, all of the things. And I'll send you out with a cute video, and then I'll show a little bit of a couple photos of Anna, and then we'll head out. But thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for the support. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate you so much. Everybody have a good day. Talk to you later. Okay, love you. Bye.
I still see you in the places we would go, like your face is painted on the walls. I've been trying to forget all the moments that we spent, 'cause now I do it on my own. Oh, you and I were like this summer, but now it's winter here on my own. If I would've known that you wouldn't be here anymore, I would've made the moments last a little longer. 'Cause now I'm alone, and you're just a memory in my mind. I would've given anything to say goodbye. If I would've known, if I would've known, I remember how we would laugh all the time, but now you're not around. And I'm just trying to find something else to fill the empty spaces you left behind. But nothing ever seems to work. I've been thinking about the things that you used to say, even not around. You're in my head every day, but it's fine, I don't mind. I promise I'll be okay. If I would've known that you wouldn't be here anymore, I would've made the moments last a little longer. 'Cause now